1. When communication collapses. How to recognize breakdown before it becomes damage. Communication does not collapse loudly. It rarely announces itself with raised voices or explicit conflict. More often, it fails quietly, through a series of subtle shifts that are easy to rationalize in the moment and difficult to reverse later. Professionals often sense that something is wrong before they can name it. Conversations feel brittle. Responses arrive, but they no longer land. Tone becomes guarded. Progress stalls despite activity. The relationship feels different, even if no single incident explains why. This is the point where strain has tipped into collapse. Collapse is a structural failure, not a misunderstanding. Misunderstandings can be corrected. Collapses cannot, at least not immediately. A collapse occurs when the communication system itself can no longer carry meaning safely. Attempts to clarify increase resistance. More explanation produces less understanding. Emotional reactions appear disconnected from content. At this stage, the issue is no longer what is being said. It is whether the system is capable of holding meaning at all. Treating collapse as misunderstanding leads to escalation. Treating it as system failure allows containment. How collapse differs from escalation. Escalation is intensification. Collapse is rupture. During escalation, communication still functions, albeit under pressure. People argue, defend, negotiate, or push. During collapse, those behaviors stop being effective. Messages bounce off. Silence appears. Authority replaces dialogue. Emotion detaches from reason. Escalation can often be slowed. Collapse must be stabilized. The signs professionals often miss. Collapse often hides behind professional behavior. Clients remain polite. Meetings still occur. Emails are still sent. What changes is the quality of engagement. Signals include responses that address only part of what was said. Increased reliance on formal language or policy. Sudden involvement of hierarchy or legal framing. Delays that feel intentional rather than logistical. Emotional flatness where engagement once existed. Individually, these signs can be explained away. Together, they indicate that the system has lost elasticity. Why collapse feels personal. When communication collapses, professionals often internalize the failure. They search for the wrong phrase, the missed cue, the moment they'd lost the client. This response is human, but inaccurate. Collapse rarely results from one action. It emerges when accumulated pressure exceeds the system's tolerance. By the time it becomes visible, the forces producing it have already been operating beneath the surface. Personalizing collapse leads to defensive recovery attempts. Structural framing leads to effective response. Why clarity no longer works. One of the most frustrating aspects of collapse is that clarity stops helping. Clear messages provoke irritation. Neutral questions feel confrontational. Even well-intended reassurance is met with distance. This happens because clarity requires trust, emotional capacity, and shared reference. When those supports fail, clarity feels like pressure rather than help. At this stage, pushing clarity increases damage. Collapse and power shifts. Collapse often coincides with power reassertion. Clients escalate decisions upward. Authority replaces collaboration. Formal processes appear where dialogue once existed. This shift is not necessarily hostile. It is protective. When meaning feels unsafe, systems revert to control. Understanding this prevents professionals from reacting emotionally to what feels like exclusion or distrust. The danger of fixing too soon. Many professionals attempt to fix collapse immediately. They propose meetings, send long explanations, or push for resolution. These actions often worsen the situation because they reintroduce pressure before stability has been restored. Collapse requires containment before correction. What containment looks like. Containment does not mean disengagement. It means slowing the system, reducing emotional exposure, and preventing further damage. It involves recognizing that the conversation, as it currently stands, cannot carry repair. Containment creates a pause that allows the system to reset its tolerance. This is not avoidance. It is leadership. Why recognizing collapse early matters. The earlier collapse is recognized, the easier recovery becomes. Early containment prevents hardening, reputational damage, and long-term relational erosion. Late recognition often leads to entrenched positions that require formal intervention. Professionals who can name collapse accurately gain a critical advantage. They stop making the situation worse. From recognition to response. This chapter is not about solving collapse. It is about recognizing it without panic or self-blame. Once collapse is identified, the task shifts from communication to stabilization. The next chapter explores exactly how to do that, how to reset an interaction without reopening conflict, forcing resolution, or losing professional authority. Understanding when communication has collapsed is the first step toward restoring control. Case: the heated email that was never meant to be heated. A German quality manager received an email from her American supplier late in the evening. The tone seemed abrupt, almost accusatory. The punctuation was sharp. The sentences were short. Her body reacted instantly. He's blaming us. He's angry. This is escalating. She drafted a defensive reply, then hesitated. Something felt off. This wasn't how he normally wrote. The next morning, she discovered the truth. The heat in the message had come from an automatic grammar checker he used on his phone, which shortened his sentences and removed softening phrases. He had typed the original message while rushing through an airport security queue in his second language. The tension she felt had belonged to the moment he was writing in, not to her. The collapse wasn't real. It was a misread digital tone combined with linguistic compression under time pressure. Once she recognized this, the defensiveness dissolved. The relationship remained intact. The collapse had only existed in interpretation, never in intention. Scenario practice: the heat that isn't heat. Before replying to a message that feels sharp or rude, assume the opposite. What if this tone is environmental, not emotional? Delay your response by 3 breaths. Then rewrite from steadiness, not defensiveness.